Imagine this: the sizzle of eggs in the pan, the rich aroma of breakfast wafting through the kitchen, a ritual so familiar it feels like home. For years, eggs have been the unsung heroes of our mornings, packed with protein, quick to whip up, and endlessly adaptable. Scrambled with a sprinkle of salt, sunny side up over toast, or folded into an omelette, they've earned their place as a trusty staple. But what if that plate of golden goodness is hiding a secret? What if the very foods you pair with your eggs, choices you've made without a second thought, are turning a wholesome meal into something that could quietly undermine your health? It's not the eggs themselves, but the company they keep that might be slipping risks onto your fork. I'm here to walk you through this like a friend who's just stumbled across some eye-opening truths, because that's what this is. A journey into the surprising ways everyday ingredients can clash with eggs. We're talking about combinations that don't just ruffle your stomach, but might tamper with your nutrients, spark toxic reactions, or even nudge your long-term health off course. Picture this as a cozy chat over coffee or tea if that's your thing. Hold that thought though, we'll get to tea later. I'll share stories, dig into the science, and leave you with simple fixes that let you keep enjoying eggs without the hidden downsides. Ready? Let's crack into 5 foods you should never mix with eggs, and why this might just change how you start your day. Number 1. Almond milk. You're pouring a tall, creamy glass of almond milk, smooth, nutty, and light. It's the kind of choice that feels virtuous, especially if you're over 50 and keeping an eye on cholesterol or inflammation. Maybe you sip it alongside a plate of scrambled eggs, or blend it into a protein shake with an egg tossed in for extra oomph. It sounds like a match made in health heaven, right? But here's the twist. Almond milk harbors a quiet troublemaker called phytic acid, a natural compound in nuts that can cling to the proteins in eggs like an overzealous dance partner, blocking your body from soaking up all that goodness. Take Martin, 77, a retired carpenter with a soft spot for routine. After his doctor nudged him toward plant-based options, he swapped dairy for almond milk. Every morning, he'd pair it with his 2-egg omelette, thinking he was nailing the perfect balance. But months later, he felt oddly sluggish, his stomach grumbling with bloating he couldn't pin down. His energy dipped by noon, leaving him napping more than he liked. It wasn't until a chat with a nutritionist that the penny dropped. Phytic acid was gumming up the works, hobbling his body's ability to digest egg protein fully. Martin spaced out his almond milk, saving it for a mid-morning pick-me-up instead. And within weeks, his digestion settled, and he felt sharper, like the fog had lifted. Here's why it matters. Eggs deliver a powerhouse of complete protein, those amino acids your muscles crave, especially as the years stack up. But phytic acid, often called an anti-nutrient, latches onto proteins and minerals like iron and zinc, forming stubborn complexes your gut can't break down. Instead of fueling your day, some of that protein slips away, unabsorbed. Over time, if you're pairing eggs with almond milk daily, it's like leaving money on the table. Nutrients you're eating but not keeping. You might feel it as bloating, a vague heaviness, or a dip in stamina you chalk up to just getting older. And because almond milk's phytic acid doesn't vanish with cooking, unlike fermented options that tame it, even a splash in your coffee alongside eggs can stir the same trouble. The fix? It's blissfully simple. Keep enjoying your almond milk, just not at the same time as your eggs. If mornings are for eggs, let them shine solo, then sip your almond milk an hour later. Or flip it. Start with a nutty latte and cook your eggs for brunch. That little gap lets your body tackle each food on its own terms, unlocking every bit of nourishment without the interference. It's a small tweak, but as Martin found, it's the kind that ripples outward, lifting your energy, easing your gut, and reminding you how much power lies in the tiniest choices. Number 2. Honey and pastries. Close your eyes and picture this. Warm French toast dripping with honey, the sweet stickiness mingling with the custardy richness of egg-soaked bread. Or maybe it's a flaky pastry, fresh from the oven, its egg-washed crust glistening under a drizzle of golden sweetness. These are the treats that wrap you in nostalgia. Sunday brunches with family, lazy mornings with a second cup of coffee. But beneath that cozy comfort, a subtle danger brews when eggs and honey or sugary baked goods meet heat and time in the wrong way. Meet Lila, 73, a grandmother with a knack for baking. Her signature was a honeyed egg loaf, a recipe handed down from her own gran. She'd bake it low and slow, letting the sugary glaze sink in, then leave it cooling on the counter for hours while the grandkids played. Everyone raved about it, but every so often, someone would feel queasy later. A stomachache brushed off as too much of a good thing. Then her son, a food safety buff, pointed out a risk she'd never considered. The mix of eggs and honey, if not cooled fast or stored right, turns into a playground for bacteria like salmonella. Lila started chilling her loaf right after baking, and the mystery tummy troubles vanished. It's all about chemistry and care. When eggs and sugars like honey heat up together, they kick off the Maillard reaction, that magic behind golden crusts and deep flavors. But if the dish lingers at room temperature too long, that same combo becomes a petri dish for microbes. The protein in eggs and the moisture in honey create a sweet spot for growth, especially in dishes like custards or pastries that cool slowly. And there's more. Over time, this pairing can form advanced glycation end products, AGEs, compounds tied to inflammation and aging, building silently in your body if you indulge often without precautions. Lila's story isn't rare. Think of potlucks where egg-rich desserts sit out for hours, or that pie you left on the table after dinner. It's not just about food poisoning, though that's real. It's the slow burn of those AGEs, nudging your cells towards stiffness and stress. But you don't have to ditch the sweetness. Bake with eggs and honey, sure, but cool it fast. Pop it in the fridge once it's safe to move. Don't let it sweat on the counter and reheat leftovers to piping hot. These habits turn a risky treat into a safe joy, letting you savor every bite with confidence, knowing you're not trading health for happiness. Number 3, green tea. The kettle whistles, steam curling into the air as you pour hot water over a bag of green tea. Its earthy scent promises calm, a gentle start to the day alongside a plate of boiled eggs. It's a pairing that feels wholesome, almost meditative, until you learn what's happening beneath the surface. Green tea's packed with tannins, those bitter compounds that give it character. Harmless on their own, they turn sneaky when they meet the iron in egg yolks, binding it up tight and whisking it out of reach before your body can use it. Consider Evelyn, 71, a librarian who cherished her morning ritual. She'd peel 2 boiled eggs, settle into her armchair, and sip green tea while flipping through a novel. It was her quiet rebellion against the chaos of aging, until she noticed her nails thinning and her energy fading, even with a healthy diet. A friend, fresh from a nutrition workshop, suggested her tea might be the culprit. Skeptical but curious, Evelyn waited an hour after her eggs to drink her tea. Within a month, her tiredness eased, and she felt a spark she hadn't in years. Egg yolks carry iron. Not a ton, but enough to matter, especially as your body leans on every nutrient to keep humming. Tannins swoop in like thieves, locking that iron into a form your gut can't crack, sending it down the drain instead of into your blood. Over time, if this is your daily dance, it might leave you dragging. Pale skin, brittle hair, a tiredness you can't shake. And it's not just iron. Tannins meddle with protein digestion too, leaving you bloated or heavy after a meal that should feel light. For Evelyn, it was a wake-up call. Even the simplest habits can trip you up if the timing's off. The solution's a breeze. Love your green tea? Sip it first, let it settle, then enjoy your eggs. Or reverse it. Eggs at breakfast, tea mid-morning. That buffer, 30 minutes to an hour, lets your body claim every nutrient without a fight. It's not about giving up what soothes you. It's about syncing it with what sustains you. Evelyn still reads with her tea, but now it's a ritual that lifts her up, not drags her down. A small shift that feels like reclaiming a piece of herself. Number 4, ham and chorizo. The pan crackles as ham curls at the edges, chorizo leaking spicy red oil into a swirl of frying eggs. It's a breakfast that warms the soul. Bold, hearty, a throwback to diner days or childhood weekends. But this duo's got a dark side. Processed meats like ham and chorizo pack nitrates, preservatives that keep them pink and tasty. When they hit high heat with eggs, those nitrates mingle with amino acids, forming nitrosamines, nasty little compounds linked to cancer risks in the gut, stacking up silently with every sizzle. Take Victor, 79, a former mechanic who lived for his fry-ups. For decades, he'd toss eggs and ham into the same skillet, scraping up the crispy bits for flavor. It was his reward for early mornings fixing engines, but a checkup flagged high inflammation, and his doc hinted at diet tweaks. Digging online, Victor learned about nitrosamines, how frying eggs with cured meats could turn a comfort meal into a slow hazard. He swapped ham for nitrate-free turkey and baked his eggs instead. Weeks later, he felt lighter, and his blood work turned a corner. Nitrosamines aren't a one-off scare. Studies tie them to colorectal and stomach cancers, especially when you're eating processed meats often, say daily breakfasts or weekend brunches piling up over years. Frying amps it up, the heat forging those compounds in the pan's sizzle. Victor didn't just cook them together, he'd use the same oil, concentrating the risk in every bite. For folks past 60, with digestion slowing and cells more vulnerable, it's a quiet threat that builds unnoticed until it's not. You don't have to ditch the vibe, though. Swap in nitrate-free meats, turkey, fresh chicken, or skip the pan for the oven. Pair eggs with spinach or peppers instead. Their fiber cuts through any stray risks. Victor still loves his hearty mornings, but now they fuel him without fighting him. It's about keeping the joy and losing the gamble, because you deserve meals that build you up, not break you down. Number 5, salty melted cheese. Eggs and cheese. There's something primal about it. A gooey omelette with cheddar melting into every crevice, or a breakfast sandwich where processed slices hug a fried egg. It's comfort on a plate, a hug from the inside out. But when that cheese is the processed kind, think neon squares or salty blocks, it's sneaking in sodium that hits harder than you would guess, especially as you age. Paired with eggs, it's a salt bomb your heart and kidneys don't need. Meet Clara, 78, a retired nurse who swore by her daily scramble. 2 eggs, a slice of processed cheddar melted on top. Quick, tasty, done. She never salted it, so she figured it was fine. But her blood pressure crept up, and her ankles swelled by afternoon. At a checkup, her doctor pressed about sodium. Clara scanned her cheese wrapper. Over 20% of her daily limit in one slice. With eggs pushing the tally higher, when paired with toast or butter, she was over the edge before noon. She switched to low-sodium goat cheese and fresh dill. Her numbers dropped, and the puffiness faded. She felt like herself again. Eggs are sodium light naturally, which tricks you into thinking the meal's safe. But processed cheese, loaded with salt, preservatives, emulsifiers, tips the scales fast. For Clara, it was a stealth strain on her system, piling up with age's natural wear. Too much sodium nudges blood pressure skyward, taxes kidneys, and dulls your taste buds, craving more salt to feel satisfied. Over years, it's a slow grind toward heart strain, or worse, silent, until it shouts. Keep the comfort, just tweak it. Try a sprinkle of fresh feta, a dab of ricotta, or skip cheese for avocado and herbs, basil, roasted garlic, a kick of paprika. Clara's new scramble's just as cozy, but now it's kind to her body. It's not about losing what you love, it's about loving yourself enough to make it better. Number 6. Citrus juices. Here's a scene you've lived 100 times. A bright glass of orange juice, tart and cold, next to a plate of fluffy scrambled eggs. It's the breakfast poster child. Vibrant, classic, bursting with morning promise. But that zesty juice has a hidden edge when it dances with eggs. Citrus acids, like citric and ascorbic, can curdle egg proteins in your stomach, turning a smooth meal into a digestive tug-of-war that leaves you queasy or full too fast. Picture Theo, 74, a gardener who'd kick off his days with this combo: fresh squeezed OJ from his backyard tree, eggs from the neighbor's hens. It felt like pure sunshine, but he'd feel off after, bloated, a sour tang in his throat. He blamed the eggs at first, then the juice, but never both. A chat with his daughter, a budding chef, cracked it open. The citric acid was clashing with the egg's delicate proteins, speeding digestion in a way his gut couldn't handle. Theo shifted his juice to mid-morning, letting his eggs stand alone. The discomfort melted away, and his mornings felt light again. It's a subtle clash. Eggs need a steady breakdown. Acid from citrus juices rushes it, forming clumps your stomach wrestles to process. For Theo, it was bloating. For others, it might be reflux or a heaviness that lingers. Over time, if your gut's sensitive or age has slowed it down, it's a recipe for quiet strain. But the fix is pure ease. Sip your OJ later, or swap it for a gentler fruit, berries with your eggs instead. Theo still tends his oranges, but now his breakfast blooms without the burr, a small harmony that keeps his days growing strong. Final thoughts. Your plate, your power. So here we are, back where we started, but with eyes wide open. Eggs aren't the villain. They're still the golden gift they've always been. It's the pairings, the timing, the habits we've woven into our lives that can tilt them from ally to adversary. Maybe you're picturing that almond milk glass you downed with your omelette, or the ham sizzling in yesterday's pan. Maybe it's the green tea you sipped too soon, or the cheese you melted without a second thought. Whatever stuck with you, here's the heart of it. You're not powerless. Think of Agnes, 80, who heard all this from a friend over tea. Herbal, of course. She'd fried eggs with chorizo for years, chased them with OJ, and wondered why her energy lagged. She tweaked one thing, baked eggs with veggies, juice later, and felt a lift she hadn't expected. It's not about stripping your plate bare, it's about tuning it to your body's rhythm. Space out that tea, swap the cheese, cool that pastry fast. These aren't sacrifices, they're upgrades, little acts of care that stack up to a you that feels brighter, steadier, more alive. What hit home for you today? Drop it in a comment, I'd love to hear. And if this sparked something, like it or share it. Knowledge is a gift, and you've just unwrapped it. Here's to meals that don't just fill you, they fuel you. Every bite, a step toward thriving. See you next time.